They said humans were weak. They said humans were backward. They said Earth was nothing but a small blue rock on the edge of the galaxy. For centuries, the great powers of the stars laughed at humanity. They called them the forgotten species. The empires had their mighty fleets, shining weapons, and armies that could burn whole worlds. And humans? Humans had little more than old ships, broken technology, and memories of wars they barely survived. In the Grand Council of the Galaxy, humans sat in silence. Other species mocked them, calling them the children of dust. Every time Earth spoke, the room filled with laughter. One alien leader sneered, "Your weapons are toys. Your armies are nothing. You are weak, and weak species only serve." The words cut deep, but humans stayed quiet. They bowed their heads. They endured the insults. The galaxy saw silence as weakness, but they did not see the fire growing in human hearts. Life for ordinary people on Earth was hard. Alien merchants controlled their markets. Alien warlords demanded taxes. And human colonies on the outer rim, many of them lived like slaves. Mothers wept as their children were taken to work in alien mines. Fighters clenched their fists as soldiers in strange armor marched through their towns. Humanity was not just forgotten. Humanity was broken. Or so it seemed, because in the shadows, away from the eyes of the galaxy, something else was happening. In the deserts, in the deep oceans, in the hidden tunnels of old cities, humans were building. Quietly, patiently, with no fanfare, no glory, no noise. They studied their enemy. They studied every weakness. They built machines not of beauty, but of purpose. Heavy, ugly, powerful. And they told no one. The great empires laughed too loudly to notice. They saw Earth as a backwater planet, a place of farmers and dreamers, a planet with no teeth. Why waste spies on a world that was already beaten? But deep under the mountains, a commander stood before a gathering of human leaders. His voice was low, steady, and full of fire. "They call us weak. They think we are finished. Let them think so. For one day, when the time is right, we will rise. And when we rise, they will remember us." The council chamber shook with quiet agreement. It was not the roar of a proud empire. It was not the cheer of soldiers ready for war. It was something colder, something sharper. It was a silence of people who had been broken too many times and who had sworn never again. Still, to the galaxy, nothing changed. Human ships looked the same. Their fleets were small, their colonies poor. In the great markets, human goods sold cheap. The alien rulers laughed and continued their games of power. But one day, far out in the black, a strange thing happened. A dead moon trembled. At first, alien scouts thought it was a quake. But when they checked, they saw the impossible. A mountain had been split in half, as if by the strike of some unseen giant. Reports were sent. Warnings were given. But the High Council dismissed them. "It is nothing," they said. "Earth has no power. Earth has no teeth." And once again, they laughed. But the scouts who saw it did not laugh. They spoke in whispers. "Something is moving on Earth. Something old. Something dangerous." Back on Earth, in the quiet of night, the commander stood alone, looking at the stars. He knew the day was coming. He knew the galaxy would come again, to chain his people, to break them once more. But this time, humanity would not kneel. The fire was no longer hidden. It was burning in the hearts of every man, woman, and child who had tasted humiliation. It was burning in the secret factories where machines of war were built. It was burning in the silence of leaders who waited, with patient fury. And though the galaxy could not yet see it, the storm was already here. The forgotten species was about to remind the stars that silence does not mean weakness. Silence means waiting. Silence means preparing. And when humans broke their silence, the galaxy would never forget again. Sometimes silence is not weakness. Sometimes silence is a sound before the storm. For years, humanity stayed quiet. They worked, they suffered, they endured. The galaxy thought humans were broken, but in truth, they were sharpening their claws in the dark. Across Earth and its colonies, secret work had begun. In abandoned mines, giant machines hammered metal. In forgotten tunnels, engineers whispered to one another as sparks lit the darkness. Old satellites were rebuilt into weapons. Hidden stations spun slowly in deep space, disguised as ruins. The galaxy did not see it. Or rather, they refused to see it. To them, humans were too small, too poor, too weak. Why waste time watching a dying race? But among humans, a fire was burning. A boy in a ruined colony swore to avenge his father, who was beaten by alien guards. A girl on Earth promised her mother she would never bow her head again. Soldiers who once lost battles trained harder than ever, waiting for the day to fight back. This was not just war. This was survival. The Empire still laughed. Their spies returned with reports. Earth is quiet. Nothing dangerous. No new ships. No new weapons. The alien rulers drank their wine and clashed their golden cups. Humans are no threat, they said. Let them live in their mud and dust. But in a hidden chamber under the oceans, human leaders gathered once more. The commander who spoke before now stood tall, his eyes burning. They think we are nothing. Good. Let them think so. Every day they laugh. We grow stronger. Every day they turn their eyes away. We prepare. The time will come. And when it comes, they will not be ready. The room fell silent. Every face was hard with determination. This was not the pride of conquerors. It was the rage of survivors. Humanity was not planning for glory. They were planning to never kneel again. And then it happened. On a distant, dead moon, a weapon was tested. A weapon the galaxy had never seen before. It was not beautiful. It was not advanced in the way alien ships were. But it was powerful, terribly powerful. A single shot from a railgun ripped through stone and metal, tearing the moon's surface apart. The ground shook. Dust rose like a storm. Alien scouts who witnessed it trembled. They sent their reports. Humans are building something. Something dangerous. We saw the sky itself split apart. But once again, the Council ignored them. Railguns? Primitive weapons. They are no threat. Do not waste our time with such nonsense. And the laughter returned. But in the shadows, fear spread. Soldiers who faced humans in the past knew better. They remembered how humans fought, not with strength, but with fury, not with advanced ships, but with endless will. And now, whispers ran through the lower ranks of alien armies. What if the humans rise? What if the forgotten species is no longer weak? Back on Earth, workers cheered quietly when the first weapon was tested. Mothers wept, not from fear, but from hope. Fathers stood taller, knowing their children might grow up free. A young engineer wrote in his journal, "Today, we created fire. Tomorrow, we burned the chains." The galaxy still believed in their illusion. They thought Earth was powerless. But piece by piece, the chains around humanity were breaking. Ships were being armed. Colonies were secretly fortified. Hidden factories produced weapons the galaxy thought impossible for such a primitive world. And above it all, the commander's words echoed. Let them laugh. Laughter is weak. But silence is deadly. Because silence meant waiting. Silence meant patience. Silence meant the storm was almost ready. And soon, the galaxy would hear the thunder of that storm. The hidden fire was no longer just a spark. It was a growing blaze. And once it escaped the shadows, it would consume everything in its path. The day came when humans finally stopped bowing. For years they had stayed silent, hidden in the shadows, building weapons a galaxy could not imagine. But silence does not last forever. And when humans chose to speak, their voice was fire. It began with a warning. A fleet of alien warships entered human space. Their banners shone bright, their cannons ready. They came not to talk, but to crush. The alien admiral gave one order: teach these humans fear, burn their ships, break their spirit. The galaxy believed it would be quick. A small, weak species against the might of a galactic empire. It was supposed to be no contest. The aliens laughed as they prepared their attack. But humans were ready. On the edge of a dead world, in silence and shadow, a single weapon waited. It was long, heavy, and brutal. No smooth lines, no shining colors. Just raw steel and power. It was the human railgun, hidden until this moment. The commander gave the order. His voice was calm. Fire. The shot came. There was no sound in space, only silence. But the railgun's power shook everything it touched. A single slug of metal, moving faster than the eye could follow, ripped through the void, and then, impact, the alien flagship split apart. One moment it was whole, proud, and strong. The next, it was broken, torn in half like paper. Fire spilled into the darkness. The laughter of the aliens ended in screams. Across the fleet, panic spread. "What was that?" shouted alien captains. "Impossible! Their weapons cannot do this." But it was not impossible. It was human will forged into steel. The commander watched the flames on his screen. His eyes were hard. "This is only the beginning," he whispered. The humans struck again. Railgun shots tore through another warship, then another. The aliens fired back, but their lasers and plasma could not stop the storm. Human ships were smaller, weaker, but they fought like wolves. They struck fast, then vanished into shadows, striking again from another angle. The galaxy, watching from afar, was in shock. Reports flooded the council. Humans destroyed a fleet. Their weapons are different, dangerous. We cannot explain it. But some refuse to believe. "Lies," shouted alien leaders. "Tricks. Accidents. Humans are weak. They cannot win." Yet the evidence burned bright in space, the wreckage of ships that once belonged to a proud empire. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. For the first time in centuries, humans did not feel small. They did not feel broken. They felt alive. A mother held her child close, tears streaming down her face. "We are free," she whispered. "No one will take you away again." A soldier, wounded from years of humiliation, raised his fist. "They thought we were nothing. Now they will know who we are." The galaxy had underestimated humanity. And now, it was too late. Still, the aliens regrouped. They tried to surround the humans, to use their numbers and strength. But humans fought differently. They did not fight like empires. They fought like survivors. Every strike was precise, every shot filled with fury. They used the enemy's pride against them, drawing them into traps, breaking them piece by piece. Soon, the battlefield was silent. Alien ships floated broken, their lights fading into darkness. Humanity had won its first true victory. But it was not just a victory of weapons. It was a victory of spirit. The forgotten species had stood against giants, and they had not fallen. Whispers spread through the galaxy. Soldiers spoke in hushed tones. The humans fight like no one else. They fight as if death itself cannot stop them. Others asked, if they can destroy a fleet, what will they do next? The commander looked at the stars. His words carried across the human fleet. "We will not kneel again. Today, we rise, and tomorrow the galaxy will know our fire." The first strike had been made. The silence was broken. The storm had begun. And every empire that once laughed at Earth now felt a new emotion. Fear. Fear spread faster than light. Across the galaxy, whispers carried from world to world. The humans have risen. The forgotten species has fire. Soldiers who once mocked them now spoke in trembling voices. Commanders who once laughed now tightened their defenses. For the first time in ages, it was not humans who were afraid, it was everyone else. The news of the first victory reached the farthest corners of space. To some, it was unthinkable. To others, it was hope. In the slave colonies, where chains had cut into the wrists of countless species, the story spread like a spark in dry grass. The humans fought back. The humans destroyed an empire's fleet. Those in chains lifted their heads. The galaxy had always told them resistance was useless. But now, they saw proof that the impossible could be done. And humanity did not stop. The commander, his voice cold and sharp, gave the order, "We strike again." Human fleets moved with speed the empires did not expect. They did not march proudly. They did not announce themselves. They attacked like lightning, sudden, blinding, and unstoppable. One by one, they found the hidden prisons of the galaxy, old mines where slaves labored, silent stations where children cried, dark camps where hope had long ago died. And one by one, the humans broke the locks. The first time, an alien child stayed in shock as the door of her cage opened. A human soldier, armor-scarred and weapon-heavy, reached out his hand. His voice was gentle. "You are free now." The child trembled. She had never known kindness. Slowly, she took the hand, and for the first time in her life, she smiled. Word spread faster than fire. The humans are freeing the slaves. Species who had lived under chains for generations now looked to Earth not with pity, but with awe. The humans were no longer the forgotten race. They were becoming something greater, something feared by empires, something loved by the broken. The galaxy's rulers grew desperate. They sent larger fleets, greater armies. But humans fought with something stronger than ships. They fought with rage. They fought with memory. They fought with a promise that never again would their children live in chains. Every battle carried emotion. Soldiers cried as they fought, remembering humiliation. Engineers whispered prayers as they loaded railguns, thinking of their families back home. Mothers on Earth watched the stars at night, knowing their sons and daughters were out there fighting for freedom, not just for humanity, but for all who suffered. And every victory brought more allies. Species once enslaved joined the humans. They offered their ships, their knowledge, their voices. A great tide was forming, and humanity was at its heart. But with every victory, danger grew. The greatest empire of all, the one that ruled with iron and fear, could not ignore Earth anymore. Its leaders, once smug and laughing, now sat in silence. Their voices trembled with anger. If humans are not crushed now, they will spread. They will rise. And when they rise, they will destroy us all. And so, they prepared their answer. A fleet larger than anything humanity had faced was gathering. Millions of soldiers. Weapons forged in the heart of dying suns. The Empire would come, not to punish, not to warn, but to erase her forever. The humans knew it. The commander knew it. Standing before his people, he spoke not with fear, but with fire. They think they can end us. They think their numbers will break us. But they do not understand. We are not fighting for power. We are not fighting for glory. We fight because we remember chains. We fight because we remember silence. We fight because no child, human or alien, should ever kneel again. The fleet roared in answer. Soldiers slammed their fists against their armor. Engineers wiped tears and swore to work harder. Ordinary men and women lifted their heads with pride. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. Now, the galaxy was beginning to understand. But the storm was not over. The greatest battle still waited. The Empire was coming. Its fleets darkened the stars. Its guns pointed at Earth. The humans had won victories. They had broken chains. But now they would face the true test. The battle that would decide not just humanity's fate, but the fate of the entire galaxy. They underestimated us. From the beginning, they called humans weak. They mocked Earth. They treated humanity as dust beneath their feet. But dust, when stirred by fire and storm, can become a force that blinds even the proudest empires. And now the storm had come. The greatest empire in the galaxy had gathered its strength. A fleet so vast it covered the stars moved toward Earth. Ships with weapons forged in dying suns. Armies trained to break worlds. Commanders who believed no one could stand against them. They came with one mission, not to punish, not to warn, but to erase humanity forever. The people of Earth watched the skies. Some prayed, some wept, but no one bowed. Not this time. In orbit, the human fleet waited. Their ships were smaller, fewer, rougher. They did not shine like the Empire's golden vessels. They looked worn, scarred, heavy, but behind every ship was a heart that refused to break. Behind every weapon was a will to survive. The commander's voice carried through the fleet. Calm, steady, burning with fire. They think we will kneel. They think we will break. But today, we show them who we are. We fight not for conquest. We fight for freedom. We fight for every chain we broke, for every tear we dried, for every voice that was silenced. Today, humanity rises. And the battle began. The Empire's ships fired first. Bright beams of light cut through space, burning against human shields. Explosions filled the darkness. But the humans did not falter. Their ships moved with fury, striking like wolves, fast and ruthless. Rail guns fired. One shot, then another. Each slug of metal tore through ships that were said to be indestructible. Drones swarmed, overwhelming defenses. Small fighters darted between giants, cutting them apart piece by piece. The aliens were shocked. Their fleets were larger, their weapons stronger, but humans fought like no enemy they had ever faced. They did not fight with fear. They did not fight with hesitation. They fought with memory. They fought with rage. They fought with love. Every time a human ship fell, 10 more fought harder. Every time an alien weapon destroyed, humans answered with greater fury. And then came the moment. The Empire's flagship, massive, glowing, armed with weapons enough to shatter moons, moved into position. Its commander sneered. "This ends now. Burn the human world." But the humans had prepared for this. The largest railgun ever built, hidden on Earth itself, powered by the strength of the entire planet, was ready. The order came. The world held its breath, and the gun fired. A single shot, carrying the weight of centuries of humiliation, flew across the void. It struck the flagship, piercing its heart. In a flash of light, the pride of the Empire broke apart. Fire consumed it. Pieces scattered into stars. The galaxy fell silent. The Empire's greatest weapon had been destroyed, not by another empire, not by a mighty conqueror, but by the species they had once called weak, by the humans they had laughed at. Fear spread through the alien ranks. Ships turned. Fleets retreated. The unstoppable empire was running, and humanity stood victorious. On Earth, crowds wept with joy. Children lifted their hands to the sky, shouting in triumph. Freed slaves across the galaxy cried out the same words. Humanity has risen. Humanity has risen. The council that once mocked Earth now sat in silence. No laughter, no insults, only respect and fear. The commander looked at the stars, his voice steady. We did not fight for power. We did not fight for conquest. We fought because we had no choice. Remember this. Never again will humanity kneel. Never again will we be silent. We are not weak. We are not forgotten. We are human, and the galaxy will remember our name. And so it was written, not in words, but in fire and steel. The day humanity rose, the galaxy changed forever. From that day on, no empire, no fleet, no ruler dared underestimate the species from the small blue planet, because a forgotten species had become something greater, a legend,